Welcome to the Sparkle Sesh. I'm Suzanne Castle, your host and Chief Sparkle Officer. This is the show where bold conversations meet actionable inspiration. Every episode, we bring together powerhouse panelists to dive into the topics that matter most: leadership, resilience, branding, visibility, and everything else in between. It's all about big ideas, meaningful connections, and fresh strategies for ambitious women like you. So grab your favorite drink, pull up a seat, and let's get the conversation started. It's time to shine brighter, bolder, and better than ever.
Welcome, Sparkle Seekers, and I have a question for you. What if the true accelerator for bold decisions and magnetic relationships isn't just hustle, but maybe it's alignment? Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to two powerhouse leaders who are going to pull back the curtain on leading and living and thriving. Your next brave move is going to start right now, and I can't wait for you to meet these fabulous women who are going to share with you all about alignment. They are extraordinary. First, we have Karen Gray. She's the CEO and founder of Gray Legacy Coaching. She's also the president of Texas Business Women, and she's lovingly dubbed as the secret weapon for executives. She helps leaders unlock their innate strengths. She helps them align their VIP, which is like their values, their intentions, their purpose, and help them ditch their self-limiting beliefs for good. Karen, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
I am so grateful. I'm so happy to have this conversation. I love y'all.
It's going to be amazing, and you're definitely an expert in this space. Thanks for giving us some time. And next up, we have Mel Woodworth. She's the vice president of branch operations for one of the nation's largest credit unions right here where I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. She's a mentorship queen. That's what I want to say. She's an authenticity champion, and she's the author of this great book about infertility and infant loss. So she knows a lot about what it means to live inside of the story that you want to be telling and how you do that every single day, whether things are good or not so good. Mel, so glad you took time to have this conversation.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So, okay, no awkward trust falls are needed because we're all just sitting here from our desks, wherever we are. But I want to do a real quick flash round before we dive into some pretty significant questions that I've got on some sticky notes. So let's do some one-sentence answers with each of you. So, Karen, let me start with you. What is a value that you refused to compromise on last week?
Last week?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. I think this is one that I'm really working on constantly, and that is honoring my boundaries and my limitations and reminding myself that no's a whole sentence and no thank you is even more polite, but no still works.
Ooh, I love that. I think that's great. Good job. Good job. Okay, Mel, how about you? What would you say?
Within the last week, I had a true test of integrity, and I really, really had to tap into my value of integrity. And, as a boss and sometimes a disciplinarian, I had an opportunity to really come down on somebody, and yet my gut told me to show grace and mercy and to give them an opportunity. And it paid off. I did the right thing, and it felt so good to be able to stay true to my integrity that needed to happen in that moment. I was very grateful for that lesson.
That's great. So
well
good. So see, already, we're just like a couple minutes in. So listeners and watchers, I hope you're jotting your own answers down. It's just incredible. And this whole episode is going to go this way. Okay, so I want to dive in. So question one. How has knowing your core values really shaped your decisions? You've already kind of both touched on that, but especially in life's toughest moments, I think we turn to our core values, whether we're recognizing that or not. We're just in default, I hope. So Karen, take us there for a minute. What has that looked like for you?
Yeah, so for me, it was prior to my 50s. It was nothing I ever considered. I put everyone first. And so coming to this place where now I'm living by what you mentioned, my VIPs, my core values, it has now become my true north compass. And so everything is filtered through that. what are my values? What feels like integrity? Am I living my intention? And then is this decision aligned with what I believe I'm here to do, my purpose? And when I do that, I feel like it allows me this ability to have space to serve from this really full heart. Now I'm not running on empty all the time. I recognize if I start getting there quicker, I'm happier. I just feel like everything I do has a bigger, fuller, more impactful meaning.
You said something there which was about space.
Mm,
And I think not being so crowded all the time, whether it's the noise here
yeah.
or in our calendars. I think that's part of the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Is making sure that we have space to see and notice and feel that, and so that our core values can help us be present to all of that. That was very well said. So Mel, same question. How is that looking for you?
Yeah, for me, it keeps me in line with what I'm supposed to be doing and prevents me from stepping too far outside of what I know
Mm.
I should be doing. And so, to Karen's point, for example, if you said yes to everything, that means nothing really matters,
Yeah.
right? If you said yes to everything, nothing is really that important.
Right.
And you start to get lost in what is my true north? What is my compass? What am I supposed to be focused on? Because you've just said yes to everything and now nothing is important anymore. For me, when I stay true to my core values and I'm living in an alignment, if I say yes to something and I'm like, ooh, but that's going to make me compromise on this other thing. That's going to make me compromise on my priority. That's going to make me miss something with my kids that I had already said yes to. That's not in alignment. That does not fit. That helps me stay focused and stay on track. I can feel it when I step outside that boundary and I'm like, oh, nope, that doesn't feel right. And it pulls me back in.
Yeah. It took me forever to realize when I was saying yes to this, I was saying no to something else. And that was almost always me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's both, and it's interesting to me because both of you just talked about you've got to be present enough to your own self,
Yeah.
right? And that that's hard. There's so much that's clamoring for our attention, right? And I just got back from Utah, where I was at a retreat, leading a retreat with some clients, and we were talking about self-care and how do you make self-care sustainable when you've got littles or you've got clients who need something from you all the time, and you open up your calendar and you're like, oh my gosh, when am I gonna? And we tend to think of self-care as a $3,000 weekend in Sedona.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same kind of thing, your core values and how you're in alignment. If you can't notice that in your own self, how do you expect anybody else to even be in relationship with you if you're not in relationship with yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it reminds me of, when you have, let's say, a really young and up and coming celebrity and they still haven't really figured out who they are yet or what they stand for. And they're getting all these endorsement deals and they're just saying yes to everything, but they don't really stand for anything.
Yeah.
And they just seem lost, right? Lost and scrambling. And then you've got these really wise people who've really figured out what their goals and intentions and purposes are in life. And you know that if they choose to stand behind a brand or accept an endorsement, it's because it's something they believe in, it's something they're passionate about, it's something they actively use in their life, and that's the only reason why it made the cut. And I think that's kind of how we have to think about the activities. And I mean, even like us as professional women get invited to come speak at events, right? We get invited to attend this luncheon or that dinner or that gala or soiree. If we said yes to everything, which ones really matter?
Right.
So we have to really choose the ones that are like, yes, that one matters to me. That is a cause that I can get behind. That is something I want to support. You have my RSVP. I will be there.
Yeah. So, okay. So Karen, I'm imagining right now that people that are watching, hi, or listening, we're so glad. But so I just think there's probably somebody right now that's like, okay, this is great. And we're so glad for all of you, but I don't even know where to begin. So what do you say to that person, whether it's a practical, like the coffee is still hot step, to clarify their personal values? I mean, what do you say to that person that's like, I don't even know how to start?
Yeah, there's so many tests out there to kind of align your values, but really for me, it's getting quiet and listening to what brings me joy and energy, what sparks that joy when I say yes, and what is something that if I said yes to, I automatically am dreading it.
Yeah.
So it's just back to getting to know yourself and honoring yourself and listening. So what is burning you out? What are the areas of your life that just don't bring you that joy and bring you energy in life? And what are the areas that do? Like where are the women or the groups or the events that you can't wait to be a part of because they matter, as Mel said, bringing that back around, right? This matters to me. So when I show up in that room, I can give them my whole heart. I can give them my endorsements. I can invest my time. Maybe I can bring my whole family. So that's aligned another step. So when you determine those things, now you get to say, okay, freedom looks like this, boundaries look like this, joy looks like this. And now I can align it with the other things in my life that do the same.
I think what you just said is extremely powerful. And I come out of the Disney world, and they talk a lot about how you have your personal values and your organizational values, and they need to reflect each other, and everything goes through that lens. But it's interesting the way that you described it, which is like freedom looks like this to me. And it occurs to me that freedom may look like this to me at 20.
Right.
And I'm about to
Exactly.
be 55, and freedom looks completely different.
100%.
So it's like having a conversation with yourself and your family and those who love you, or your whatever that means. That to me, it sounds like it's an evolving conversation.
It will be evolving, Suzanne.
Yes.
You've got your life pre-marriage when you're single, and your priorities are your friends and your education and starting your career. You've got your life post marriage and then post children. And when those things happen, those are major life changes. Your priorities shift, your focus shifts, and your values start to realign. Because when an event like that happens, everything kind of goes like this. And then you have to kind of bring everything back into alignment. It's going to evolve again and again and again throughout our lifetime, right?
And don't y'all think as your life evolves, your circles evolve too? Because now, like both of y'all just said, like I was 20 and single or whatever, and now I'm hanging out with people who are also married and also have kids or also empty nesters or never had kids, whatever the case is for you. It's being aware, and the missing component is giving yourself permission to release and let go of the things that don't serve you, don't bring you joy, and being okay that that was a season, or that was, it got you through these days, and you don't have to let go of the person, but maybe the connections of what you do together.
So I love how our conversation is going here, because it's making me think about so in my world, I do a lot of strategy work with women entrepreneurs. And I hear a lot about, okay, if I niche down, or if I niche down my values, there's going to be a group of people that I alienate, right? Because a lot of them come to me and they're like, well, I serve everybody. I do all the things, like
I all inclusive,
right? Yeah. Or, oh, but everybody needs me, or everybody likes me. We all want to be liked, right? But I'm wondering, as we're having this conversation, for the sake of this, do we argue the opposite, which is maybe you magnetize the right ones? So I'm curious what, I want each of you to speak to this. So how does alignment then attract? How does alignment nurture fulfilling relationships? Because I think that's a different way to think about that.
It's completely different. Sorry, I'll jump in first because I'm just like, this is like so what I'm going through right now. And you would think by 56, because I'm older than y'all, I would have figured this out a long time ago. And I lived so long serving others that it has taken me longer to figure out what it looks like to serve God and serve me first and be okay when others aren't okay with me. And so I kind of got like totally on that thought and totally forgot what you just asked me.
Oh no, it's okay. But I'm thinking about it as magnetic, right?
Yeah. So
what do we
sorry.
attract?
Yes. Back to the magnetic. This is why. So when you stop entertaining everything, it's like, think of your vacuum, right? Like if there's like a bunch of stuff, Cheerios, we'll go with Cheerios. If there's a bunch of Cheerios on the floor, but there's a quarter, if it's picking up all the Cheerios, it can't grab the quarter. And the quarter's more valuable than all the Cheerios. But you have this big pile of Cheerios on the floor. I have grandbabies, so this is what came first.
I love this analogy right now.
Perfect, you know?
We just roll with this. So, but what if you really just needed, and the quarter needed you, and you needed the quarter, right? You're so busy, your vacuum, this attraction mechanism that you have, is so busy focused on all of this other stuff in the way that the heavier, more valuable thing gets overlooked.
Yeah.
And so what if we just moved all the Cheerios out of the way, stopped focusing on the Cheerios, and just attracted the thing that was most valuable to us? How do we do that? We become the thing that is focused on the quarter.
Right. It's so
And
hard.
so, yeah. So when I, Karen Gray, am focused on serving women who are coming out of this people pleasing, or they're really just trying to love themselves and be okay being themselves, and that's my message, and that's what I embrace and am able to talk about, people see that reflected. We see the mirrors in others, like we see ourselves in other people, and we're like, oh, that's who she is. Okay, now I get it.
Right.
And it's not like this Karen who's just, okay, maybe she's nice, maybe she's not, maybe she's a Karen. Who knows? I don't know, because she's talking about everything.
Yeah.
Right? Now we know. And it just makes it clear. Like for Suzanne, we know Suzanne's about business. It's about having this aligned business in 90-day segments. And we're just going to dive in, get really crystal clear, and move all the junk out of the way.
Right.
And we're going to stop pretending and stop hiding. How do we do that? Really strategically, one decision at a time.
Yep. Okay, so Melissa, how do you do that in your work? So you are vice president, boss babe, and you've got kids of very different ages.
Yeah. Yes.
And I mean, like very different in very different life stages. And so you're managing a lot of different kinds of, not just logistics, but emotions. So how do you think about alignment, attracting and nurturing and fulfilling relationships without losing yourself?
Well, I've got to say, I'm in a funky transition stage because I've got a daughter that is about to graduate from high school and go off to college. And I've got a son that is in kindergarten. And so, for example, we recently joined a new church and we're looking for a life group. And the life groups were segmented into empty nesters, families with older kids, and families with younger kids. And I'm like, but I don't fit in anywhere. Where do I go? What do I pick? And it was actually really difficult for us to figure out where we fit in because we are in kind of a funky transition phase. Ultimately, we chose the families with young children because our daughter's not going to be home that much longer, but for the foreseeable future, we'll have a 6-year-old in our house, so that was kind of where we went. But as far as attracting, things and people that align with my values, the more I've gotten clear on what I stand for, and the more freely I've been able to speak those things into existence and not hold back or be shy about what's important to me and what I value. I've learned that your people find you. Your people find you. And so they say that you become most like the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Right.
But to the opposite of that, I've noticed that the 5 people that have something in common with me will come to me. So I've been very vocal about the fact that, we block off our Sunday morning on our calendar, and it's a non-negotiable because we're always going to be at church with our family, our entire family. And even though Jordana, my daughter, started working a real job and they asked her availability, we said, you are not available on Sunday mornings. You're not. And that was something that was a non-negotiable for us. And all these people are starting to now come into our life that have similar values and similar interests. And everyone knows I like to read. I always have a book in my purse. And now all of a sudden people are offering to swap books with me at work. I'm literally swapping books with people at work because they know I like to read and it's something we have in common. But I think your people find you when you're very clear about what it is that you stand for, and you're very vocal and willing to share those things.
I like this because it's not hiding. And so, a while ago, I led this values thing, and coming out of entertainment, I talk about how values are like a velvet rope at a club. So the wrong ones see it, and they're like, I can't get in. That's not for me, right? I have to pay too much to get into the club.
Mm-hmm.
But and so they self-select. They're like, I'm going to go to a different club. But the right ones will stand in line because they know it's worth it, right? And they can't wait. And I think it's important to think about that. But again, this goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. You have to have conversations with yourself constantly, and not be afraid. And there's a whole lot of fear underlying our conversation. Not talked about, like, you're not saying that you're fearful, but I think there is. We're in a world where I think people are afraid to say what they stand for. I think people are afraid to tell people, I don't want you in my life anymore because of XYZ, or to just maybe not invite that person anymore to be a part of their life because we have to be nice all the time. I grew up in that world. You never know when you might need somebody, so don't be mean or whatever. And
don't burn any bridges. Yeah, don't burn any bridges. Mm-hmm.
Right, and the damage that's doing about not being true to your own self. Right, I'm not sure that's very valuable to us. Thoughts about that?
Yeah. I think you're 100% right on, and I love the analogy of the velvet rope. I'm imagining like a Taylor Swift concert where they open the doors and everybody rushes in versus the VIP to get access to Taylor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like those are two very different lines and different access. But yeah, when we're burning the boats, burning the bridges, burning all the things down, it's back to what Mel said in the beginning, like you're identifying what really matters and you're telling yourself, I matter. And if you said this thing to that person and they walked away and they were never a part of your life again, were they truly valuable to your life right now?
Yeah.
I've had to face that lately. Right. And there's some feelings. I had a lot of feelings come up about that. But it's also been this unveiling for me of the value of me and my own time. And that from someone who never could even go travel and have dinner in a restaurant by herself. I didn't do things by myself. I just was uncomfortable. I'd been a young mom, always been around people, wanted to be around people. That's where I got my value from. So to get my value from me, like that was a foreign concept. So that whole burning down is really an unveiling and that phoenix rising up.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Mel. Let me start with you, and then Karen. I want you both to answer this. Okay. So let's imagine your purpose is feeling a little wobbly. So what do you do to realign?
I kind of default back to an old Franklin Covey practice that he did in 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, where you look at your calendar, start with a blank calendar, and he said, schedule your big rocks first. And whatever you put down as your big rocks that are going to not move, number one, and be your non-negotiables, number two, kind of like I mentioned before with our Sunday mornings. Those really are the things that matter the most to you. I've also heard it done a different way where look at your bank account and see what you're spending your money on and really do an audit on what you're investing in. Because you'll notice those people that they're buying collagen, they're paying for a gym membership, they are taking protein powder, they're taking their vitamins. Maybe they have a subscription for their vitamins to arrive at their house every 30 days so they can't forget. That's someone whose health is a non-negotiable for them, right? Can't you tell that that person is investing in their health? They're marking it off on their calendar. They're putting money into it because that's something that they're not going to give up. So I kind of look at my calendar and what I'm spending money on, but that tells me where my heart is, right? That tells me, and sometimes we get a little off course, and this is why you do it again and again and again to audit. Because I may have been scheduling things on my calendar last month that did not belong there. But if I start fresh and I go back to the big rocks and I look at those, I realize, oh yeah, none of that other stuff matters.
Yeah.
That was not a value. That was a distraction from my values. And all these other little things that I was spending money on was not a value. It was a distraction from my values. So you can do this audit over and over again as often as you need to. But when I sit down with my calendar, I get really honest about what I'm willing to put my time into and what I'm not willing to put my time into.
That's good. I like that.
I love that. Mel, if I did that, my value is in DoorDash.
Amazon, right? Amazon.
I value convenience.
Well, we value our time. That means we value our time, and we would rather let somebody bring it to us.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here thinking, man, I need to buy stock in DoorDash and Amazon.
Mine is posted notes here. Yeah, I get it. Okay. So Karen, how about you? You're wobbly. How do you get back?
Yeah. I love using the Eisenhower matrix. So if you're not familiar with the Eisenhower matrix, it's got the 4 quadrants. It may be called the 4 quadrants in your world, but just like, what are the things that you kind of differentiate your time? So what are the things that are urgent that I have to do? What are the things that are urgent that I can either delegate or do later? This is how I do it. What are the things that aren't important? I can delete off, I can not do, they're not relevant to me. And what are the things that I really need done, but I can outsource to somebody? They're not urgent. They can be done at another time. They just need to get done. So I'm going to keep them on a list. And then I just really look at, okay, what are the things I'm saying? So I take that list and then what are the things I'm saying are important? And I realign those to my VIP. So do these things that I think are important with my time align with what I value? Do they meet my intentions? My intention is in like, I don't set goals for the year. I don't do like New Year's resolutions. I do New Year's intentions. Like, what is my intention? How do I want to show up this year? So I align my goals or my intentions with that item. Does this really meet that? And then am I fulfilling my purpose by doing this? And so if it checks both of those, it's in that quadrant and it aligns with my VIP, it stays on the calendar. It goes on my little dry erase board over here, and I'm able to follow it up.
That's good. And so I'm trying to think for me, like, what do I do when I'm wobbly? And the first thing I do is I go get physical.
Move. Yeah.
I got to move because my brain loves to tell a story about why I'm wobbly.
Yeah.
And it lies. Our brain loves to lie to us. And so it loves to tell a story about why I'm in that state. And so then I like to think about that state and how did I get to that state? And then 4 hours have gone by because I had to overthink about why I got where I got instead of where I wanted to be, right?
None of us overthink. No.
So I go get moving so that I've got oxygen, and oxygen then allows me to create new neural pathways which see an opportunity. So that's the first thing I do when I'm wobbly. And then I love what you both said, and you kind of came at it a little differently. And so then what I do is I create Post-it note, sorry. But I have all different colors of Post-it notes, and I thematically write everything down. I brain dump every single thing. And then I do things by categories, and then by categories, things have to occupy space or not. And my value question is, am I the only person on the planet in my sphere that can do this? Because if it is, then it's mine to hold. And if it's not, then I have to think about it.
Wow, that's a good one.
So it really helps me decide my intention, my value, my purpose, and how I spend my time. So I love that all three of us kind of answered that question a little differently. And maybe people listening can take one of these opportunities and do it a little bit different. So, okay, as we close up, I'm going to ask another question first, but first I want to seed something. So Mel, will you take just a minute, and in our show notes, we're going to link to your book. And I'd love for you to take just a minute and talk about, because I think that did come out of kind of your search around your alignment. And so would you tell us a little bit about your book, if you don't mind?
Oh, thank you, Suzanne. My book is called Tiny Miracles, and it's the story about really my two children and everything that happened in between them. My two living children are 12 years apart, and I was really very young when we had our daughter, and everything was smooth as far as we knew. We thought everything was normal, and we didn't really have any complications with her. So we didn't know anything was wrong. But as we tried to grow and expand our family, we got pregnant with our second child, and we lost it in utero. And then we got pregnant with our third child. We lost that one in utero. So then we went to a specialist to figure out what is going on. And with some help, we ended up getting pregnant a fourth time. That one, we got a lot further along. And after about 13 weeks, things started to go awry, and we ended up losing that one as well. And after the third loss, that hit us really, really hard. And I really had to search, in my heart, is this what God wanted for me? Is this what God wanted for my family? Maybe we shouldn't be trying so hard to have more kids. Maybe we were only meant to have the one. All these different things go through your mind. Right. And after that, we had 6 years of infertility. And I really think God brings clarity in the waiting. There's a purpose for waiting. And so for people who are trying to find their values, their alignment, their purpose, if you're sitting in this quiet, eerie season where no answers are coming at all and you have no information, there is a purpose behind it. That waiting period is used for us to really grow. And at the point where I kind of had washed my hands of it and said, this is not my burden to carry anymore. This is not my situation to try to control. I'm going to let go and let God, right? Then I got pregnant with my last child, Liam, and God worked a miracle in our life and brought him almost to full term. And that story is many, many, many women's stories that has not ever been told out loud before. And what I'm really proud of in that book, Suzanne, is I give you my innermost thoughts, those things that go through our head in the darkest moments, the things that we beat ourselves up about, the scary feelings that we have. I put every single word down in that book because I want other women to know you're not sitting in that place alone. Yeah. You're not sitting on that bathroom floor alone. You're not in that waiting period with no answers alone. There is somebody there with you holding your hand. So that was really why I wrote the book.
So good. So I love that. So we're going to link to that. So, and it's a very brave book. So, and it is very much about your alignment and your values. And it is an incredible book. So, and Karen, I know that you have also been very generous, because we're going to put in the show notes. You are like, hey, I want to give them a course, and so you were like, let's talk about confidence, and so you're going to gift a confidence catalyst course. And so you want to talk about that a little bit, because we're going to give a link to that as well. But I'd love for you to kind of seed that and let them know what that is.
Yeah, thank you, first off, for letting me share that, because one of the things that I value is being really transparent. And so my journey of not feeling confident came from just this need to be validated by everyone else. So if anyone had anything negative to say about me, that crashed my confidence. And so that course has come out of my own journey of learning to be confident in who I am. And so it's really a very simple course. It's not super long. They're, 5 15-minute videos with some takeaways, some journaling, some meditation access. And it's just me reassuring you that you're okay and you're going to be good and you are perfectly imperfect and designed to be exactly who you are, where you are right now. And so it's me walking through a few little steps with you to get to this place where you can learn that and not just hear it, but take it from your head to your heart.
I love this. Okay, so as we close, we'll go Karen and then Mel. And I'd love for you to just give us one of your rituals that allows you to stay grounded.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so Karen, which one is that?
Yeah, I would say it's something I've started in the last year, and that's in the morning, as long as it's not raining here in Texas. I go outside, get a little bit of sunshine, and I write at least 3 gratitudes, one thing that I'm going to focus on for the day, and then one thing that I just really want to acknowledge that I either did amazing yesterday or sucked at yesterday and could be amazing at today, or it's just like my real check. It's like, okay, you did this great yesterday, well done, or, ooh, yeah, that was really that was a missed moment. That's okay. It's in the past, but it's just like, it's a recognition. And so I just center in with that, write a little bit, and then take off for my day. But getting outside, and I have a back porch that I have my favorite little fuzzy fat dog, and Max will come lay his head on my lap. He knows our morning routine, and he'll just sit there with me, and I ground into the dirt, love on Max, write a little bit, and it's just like, all right, God, reset. Today's a new day, fresh palette, and I just get to go be me.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. How about you, Mel?
I have 2 things that Suzanne, you said that movement really helps you. So my first thing when I need to get out of my head, right, is to go for a walk. And that activity of getting outside, getting the fresh air like Karen, getting the sunshine, getting the ground under my feet, and even not listening to anything. Don't have a podcast or music in your ears. Listen to the birds, like really listen to the wind blowing through the grass. Take it all in. And when you're quiet in that moment, you can really filter out a lot of the chatter, and that helps me feel really grounded. And the second thing that I've really gotten into in the last year is taking a bath. And I know it sounds so silly, but I will bring my cup of tea into the bathroom. I've got the little tray to put my cup on and my candle, and I limit myself to 30 minutes. I don't need to be in there super, super long. I just need to close my eyes and be still. And there is something very healing about water as well. And a lot of research you can do around that. But just being still and allowing myself to not have to be on my feet doing something helps me kind of ground myself again.
Great reminder.
So beautifully said. And I just want to express my gratitude for the both of you for one, being transparent. And I think the suggestions that you've made, the stories that you've told, and the realness of what you gave in this conversation is going to expound someone of that, I'm sure. So thank you for being in my world and for the generosity of your time. And I want to encourage all of you to stay tuned for the next Sparkle Sesh. So glad that you tuned into this. Be sure and share this conversation, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Bye.